Good afternoon, I'm Ron Trevino.
And I'm Rekha Muttaraj. Swift reaction from across the nation today after the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. We have team coverage explaining the decision and what this means for women in Texas. And we're starting with Skylar Henry live in Washington, D.C. Skylar.
Hey there, good to be with you. Well, earlier today, President Biden called the court's decision a sad day for the court and a sad day for the country, while also calling on Congress to pass meaningful legislation to try to restore some of the things that Roe v. Wade provided. Meanwhile, the implications from this decision will impact tens of millions of women across the country, especially those in several GOP-led states where trigger laws are in effect.
This decision must not stand!
Protesters erupted outside the Supreme Court after the justices ruled to overturn Roe v. Wade.
I kept hoping for the best, but it's clear that these justices don't care about the majority of Americans and their voices.
This is going to be like history. This is just the beginning of, the pro-life generation, being there for women, for the unborn.
Writing for the majority, Justice Samuel Alito said the Constitution does not confer a right to abortion. Chief Justice John Roberts joined the other 5 conservatives in upholding Mississippi's abortion ban, but wrote he would have stopped short of overruling Roe outright.
It's a sad day for the court and for the country.
President Biden called the decision wrong and extreme.
Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk.
The court's 3 liberals agreed, writing they dissented with sorrow for the many millions of American women who have today lost a fundamental constitutional protection. The court's ruling wasn't a surprise. It had been forecast several weeks ago following a leaked draft indicating which way the justices were leaning. The decision is expected to lead to abortion bans in roughly half the states.
This decision is a victory for the pro-life movement and for the generations of Americans who never gave up hope.
The ruling puts the court at odds with a majority of Americans. CBS News polling found 2/3 wanted the court to leave Roe v. Wade in place, as it has been for nearly half a century. And we talked about those trigger laws that will ultimately outlaw abortions in most cases. Well, several abortion providers across the country have either canceled their appointments for today or closed altogether. Meanwhile, happening outside of the Supreme Court today, thousands of people on both sides of this issue continue to pile outside of the High Court after this seismic decision. We're here outside of the Supreme Court. I'm Skylar Henry. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Skylar. And our team coverage continues here in Houston. Rallies are planned on both sides of the issue. Melissa Correa joins us live near downtown. Melissa.
Hey there, Ron. A rally in support of abortion rights set to happen at 6:30 this evening in downtown's Tranquility Park, which is just across the street from Houston City Hall. This is going to be the latest rally in support of abortion rights. Just last month, thousands of people packed Discovery Green, also in downtown, protesting that leaked Supreme Court draft that suggested today's overturn of Roe v. Wade was coming. In that crowd, Houstonians disappointed in today's reversal. We're talking about women who rallied for a woman's right to choose more than 50 years ago. We're talking about young people who believe the right to abortion comes down to the right to privacy and choice in America. Planned Parenthood, one of the most well-known abortion rights advocacy groups, is pausing abortions until its legal team can figure out the next step here in Texas.
Today's decision will make it that much harder for people to access safe and legal abortion, and it opens the floodgates for abortion bans across the country. We all believe that this pause in abortion care, while heartbreaking, is the best way to protect our staff and patients and ensure that we remain strong, viable organizations providing health care in the years to come.
And that health care and family planning services provided by Planned Parenthood will continue and is continuing today. In addition to the abortion rights rally set to happen at Tranquility Park, we're hearing of other groups planning to rally outside of the federal courthouse later today, Ron.
Thank you so much, Melissa Correa. And there are other groups rejoicing after today's ruling. Anti-abortion rights supporters calling today's ruling a victory. Jason Miles joins us live with their reaction. Jason.
Hey there, Ron. Yeah, despite the heat, and it is hot out here, I'm told folks who fought against abortion rights over the last 5 or so decades, many of them will gather here tonight outside Houston's primary Planned Parenthood clinic. Now, a slew of anti-abortion rights groups, as you might imagine, quickly reacted to the ruling today, saying they are cautiously optimistic. They were rather cautiously optimistic following the earlier leak suggesting things would go this way. The Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston, also weighing in this afternoon, Cardinal DiNardo calling it, quote, a positive step toward creating a life-affirming society. Meantime, here's what representatives from a couple of other groups based up in Austin had to say.
We are rejoicing over the news that came out today. Praise God for it. I personally am very excited from a faith perspective, from a science begins at conception perspective, and an organizational perspective. We've been working towards this day for a very long time.
This has been 50 years in the making, and so we are excited and thankful that the Supreme Court has overturned Roe and returned this authority to protect preborn children to the states.
Now take a look at this. The news came down this morning amid a weekly protest outside a women's health center off the Katy Freeway. People there told me they were also very happy and hope discourse can remain peaceful moving forward. Now the rally outside the Planned Parenthood clinic behind me set to get underway at 6 p.m., though as we mentioned earlier, abortions here ceased as a result of this ruling. Reporting off the Gulf Freeway, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
All right, thank you so much, Jason Miles.
The Supreme Court decision is already affecting clinics, as you heard from Jason. The Houston Women's Clinic has posted a sign saying they will no longer perform abortions starting today. Local leaders are reacting to this. Gerald Harris joins us live with responses from both sides of the aisle just months before voters head to the ballot box. Gerald.
Yeah, the issue surrounding abortion is being thrusted into the spotlight, with some politicians celebrating the victory. Others, they say that this needs to be an election issue. Governor Greg Abbott, who declined an interview with me, sent a statement instead praising the Supreme Court's ruling overturning Roe v. Wade, saying in part, Texas is a pro-life state and we have taken significant action to protect the sanctity of life. Texas has also prioritized supporting women's health care and expectant mothers in need to give them the necessary resources so that they can choose life for their child. His opponent, Beto O'Rourke, says the ruling is devastating for women in the country, but no more so than here in Texas.
We've got to make sure that we reach every single voter across the state of Texas and ensure that they understand what's on the line. It's a woman's right to choose, and it's the very lives of Texas women, a state that leads much of the developed world in the rate of maternal mortality, 3 times as deadly for black women in the state of Texas. We have got to win, and we need you with us, and we need you now.
And Texas's chief law enforcement officer, Attorney General Ken Paxton, closed his offices today to mark the historic decision and says following the Supreme Court's judgment, which could take 30 days, his office will assist in prosecuting doctors and people who attempt an abortion. Adding some prosecutors may choose to immediately pursue criminal prosecutions based on violations of the Texas abortion prohibitions, predating Roe, that were never repealed by the Texas legislature. And there's still a ton of reaction rolling in from politicians throughout the state. We have a list of those statements on our website. That's KHOU.com. Back to you.
The Supreme Court's decision to strike down Roe v. Wade now has roughly half of all states poised to ban or drastically restrict abortion, but it won't happen all at once. Let's start with a look at so-called trigger laws. 13 states have them on the books. They are intended to automatically ban or severely weaken abortion access as soon as Roe is overturned. As you can see on this map, we've got Texas, we've got Louisiana and Arkansas, just some of the states that have these trigger laws. Texas's trigger law, House Bill 1280, was signed by Governor Abbott last year. It will automatically ban abortions, and Texas doctors could face life in prison or a $100,000 fine for performing them. Now, in some states, these laws will activate as soon as a designated state official certifies the court's decision. That can happen within minutes. In other states, the laws will go into effect within the next 30 days. In their dissent, the liberal justices made note of the fact that this would force people to seek abortions elsewhere, saying in part, increased out-of-state demand will lead to longer wait times and decreased availability of service in states still providing abortions. And that this is what happened in Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada last fall after Texas effectively banned abortions past 6 weeks of gestation. Once the trigger laws go into effect here, patients in Texas will have to drive an average of 542 miles to reach the nearest abortion clinic. Which takes us to the 16 states and the District of Columbia that have laws in place protecting abortion rights, including California, Nevada, Colorado, Illinois, New York, Maine, and Hawaii. The majority of people in Texas seeking an abortion went to Oklahoma for services after the state law went into effect in September of 2021. But as you know, about a month ago, Oklahoma signed the nation's strictest abortion ban into law, preceding the Supreme Court decision. We're going to have much more coverage on our website, and you can see reaction from more leaders and in-depth analysis of what this ruling means for you. Just head to KHOU.com.